It's the one place in Las Vegas where we're immersed in everything that water is and does for a thirsty world. Our extreme desert creatures, hard-won gardens, histories of today and yesterday offer ever-living lessons. Here at the Springs Preserve, where all that matters is what's elemental. Pumped up at the prospect of bringing our new Waterworks exhibit online because its high-stakes interactives offer real-world consequences that we believe will engage and inspire students of all kinds to think locally and act globally.
We have 25,000 or more school kids a year that visit here for free school trip programs. Students that go to the Waterworks exhibit, these are people, young people, that will be our future water stewards. So we hope to instill in them the importance of water, and we hope to encourage them to be our future stewards, and we also encourage them to be future scientists and technicians perhaps, and encourage some future innovation for water technology.
And the Waterworks opening can't come soon enough to raise awareness of how understanding our water resources here in Southern Nevada can help visitors to create a ripple effect around the globe. A message we are working with our fellow water steward, One Drop Foundation, to share with guests.
One Drop does their work mainly in the developing countries, but we understand that in the desert climate of Las Vegas, that we need to continue to raise awareness for water issues. That's why One Drop has created a partnership with the Springs Preserve. One Drop has donated $1.25 million to the Springs Preserve so they can continue their educational, innovative programming for the youth.
So most of the funding for the project has come from the One Drop Foundation with a substantial contribution from the Royal Bank of Canada's Blue Water Project. And we've been working on the design of this program for quite some time. And fortunately right now we're actually in a design phase with the exhibit builders, and we hope to start installing exhibit components later this year. And we're planning right now for an early 2017 opening of the Waterworks to the public.
And what better place than the Springs Preserve to share Las Vegas' story and showcase its considerable splash in overcoming the adversities of water scarcity in the desert.
The Las Vegas Creek and the original springs supplied all of the water for early Las Vegas. However, as Las Vegas grew, those water supplies became inadequate, and now, although water does not flow to the surface anymore, the property that surrounds the Springs Preserve is still really important to Las Vegas and the history of water in Las Vegas. And if you think about it, the Las Vegas Valley is enormous. We're pumping water from Lake Mead several hundred feet up in elevation all throughout the valley. And that takes a lot of equipment, it takes a lot of science, and it takes a lot of technology. Inside the Waterworks exhibit, people will actually be able to get their hands on some equipment, some interactives that we have that will replicate what we do in our testing lab and in our water control room. So people will be able to play with different water scenarios throughout the valley, make some adjustments on the computer, and see what results they get.
And we think this hands-on approach will help guests get a real feel for all that it takes to get clean water to their tap, and that will inspire more thought about how water impacts families and communities worldwide.
We're going to talk about access to water. To date, there are still over 660 million people that don't have access to safe water. There's also 2.5 billion people that don't have access to adequate sanitation. We also want to talk about water delivery. If there is absolutely no access to water, how do they get water into the communities? Also for all of us to understand that we all truly are drinking from the same well. So to take care of our planet is really important. And obviously that message is always very clear here when you're in the beautiful Springs Preserve.
Drop by drop, we feel that we've already made waves in this wise water use community.
The people in Southern Nevada, the residents, have made some incredible efforts in reducing the amount of water they use. They've taken out their lawn, they're conserving water that they use indoors. The system that we have in place helps us to reuse, recycle, and return that water that's used indoor to the lake.
Because, like most great human movements, Education and action can create a flood of good when it comes to solving the water problems of the present and future.
If we all come together, we can create a ripple effect, and we can really make a powerful change in creating access to safe water for everybody.
Come join us on October 15th to Walk for Water with One Drop at the Springs Preserve. This family-friendly 2.7-mile walk will give everyone a chance to pay tribute to the millions of women and children, and particularly girls, who spend hours a day collecting water. Proceeds will benefit the One Drop Foundation's vision of making access to water a reality for all. Visit our website at springspreserve.org for more information. As autumn approaches with its shorter days and glorious nights, the preserve begins its high season of get-togethers, dedicated to cultural traditions and annual celebrations for festival goers of every age and various interests that will make this a truly eventful fall. During our autumn plant sale on Saturday, September 17th, you'll have your pick from thousands of native and drought-tolerant species, and preserve members will get early admission to preview and choose from unique and hard-to-find treasures, as well as familiar Mojave Desert-adapted specimens. On Saturday, September 24th, the Asian Heritage Celebration will welcome visitors to a whole world of Eastern, Pacific, and Oriental traditions. On Saturday, October 1st, the Grapes and Hops Festival will turn the preserve into an elegant setting for fine al fresco cuisine and music accompanied by your adult beverages of choice. Then leading up to Halloween, we've scheduled several weekends of our perennial popular Haunted Harvest Festival. But before the preserve is transformed back to its natural state, we'll have one more November weekend of colorful occurrences for a growing number of guests who just can't get enough of our Dia de Muertos event each year. Why not begin, renew, or upgrade your annual Springs Preserve membership today and receive members-only discounts, privileges, and added benefits, including half-off select upcoming fall events. For more information, go to the membership page of our website at springspreserve.org. The Springs Preserve has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places because of its role in the origins of Las Vegas, and we honor that designation every day by protecting our rich cultural resources while making them a lively part of our community's future by reviving sites like our traditional picnic grounds on the Exploration Loop Trail.
So we've been doing this construction project here for the last few months, and what we're trying to do is to add new interpretive ramadas to the trails here in the natural area. We're calling this the Exploration Trail. So our interpretive stops, our interpretive stations, we're going to talk about obviously early water history, early water technology. We're going to talk about early explorers that would have come through this area. We're also going to talk a little bit about ranching, about agriculture, about early Native American agriculture, all that would have taken place on our property here.
But it wasn't all hard work for the travelers, ranchers, and farmers who returned generation after generation to the Las Vegas Creek.
So historically, the springs, the Las Vegas Creek, these cottonwoods were a place where people escaped the heat of the summer from the town of Las Vegas. They would come out here, they would build tents, they would camp out next to the creek, they would use it for water, they would wash their dishes in it. So it's a natural progression to bring that back to this area and let people utilize this place for what it has been for many years. But it's going to be a picnic stop where people can come out and they can hike on the trails, come out on their bicycles, maybe stop, have a nice refreshing drink or maybe a meal.
Out of respect for what might have been left after the many picnics from the past, before breaking ground for any construction, we surveyed the site thoroughly for any signs of artifacts.
Part of my job as the archaeologist here at the Springs Preserve is to make sure that we're protecting the cultural resources, the prehistoric and historic resources that we have here on the property. We've done text excavations here at this picnic site going back several years now, and we found a few items, a few small things, but nothing so large that would stop us from doing any sort of work here. We've decided to protect this area, however, so we've put a deck over this picnic area, and everything below that decking has been protected.
We'll also be giving guests a new perspective on the creek and the creatures we're returning to its waters.
So at the picnic area, one of the nice features we have is we have a bridge that's going to go over the North Fork of the Las Vegas Creek. We have our new habitat ponds for threatened and endangered fish species that is going to be there, going to be populated with fish.
They won't be the only attraction, though, for picnickers who will now be more likely and excited to venture out into the wider, wilder world of the historic preserve.
We have wild fox, wild coyote that live out here, that are here in the middle of the city. So by adding these interpretive stops, by adding this picnic area, hopefully more people will come out and enjoy and use this space for what it's always been used for, which is an escape from the summer heat here in Las Vegas.
The Springs Preserve is rolling out its new mobile app that will feature information about attractions, promote events, and provide on-site wayfinding to all our amenities and important locations. Download for free from the App Store or Google Play. One of the biggest and most dangerous lizards of the desert Southwest is also a star of the preserve's living collection because of the incredible evolutionary methods behind its amazing Gila monstrosity.
Well, Gila monsters are a native reptile that we find here in southern Nevada. And what's really cool about them is that they're one of only 2 venomous lizards that are found in North America.
It's unlikely, though, that you'll ever find this elusive lizard in its natural desert setting.
They like to hang out underground a lot, which is why if you're out hiking anywhere, you're not very likely to come across one. In fact, whenever I've been out hiking all the years, I've yet to see one out in the wild.
It would be a prize sighting because of the Gila monster's colorful and attractive speckled bands that also serve as stern warning.
The venom glands are located in the lower jaw of the Gila monster, and they need to bite and hold on. And so they'll bite down, and then the jaw muscles will squeeze and pump that venom into the lower gum line. And all the teeth in the lower jaw, the Gila monster, have these little channels. And so through capillary action, that venom goes up that channel and then gets into the bite wound. And so pretty much when they bite, they just bite and hold down and kind of keep chewing. And so just pumping more venom in there. So, we always say that someone was going to get bit by a Gila monster, they'd probably end up going to the hospital with one attached as well.
But they'd really rather attack something they can eat that's slower than them and almost harmless.
Since these are slow-moving animals, they don't like fast food, right? So they're going to go for nests. So maybe some baby bunnies, maybe some bird eggs, maybe a low nest, other slow-moving mammals, other lizards, that sort of thing. Those are all going to be the things that they're going to eat, and they might go months without eating. So when they eat and come across food, they're going to eat a lot. And it's like going to a buffet. They're going to fill up, and then they'll store all that extra food as fat in their tail. So a good sign of a healthy Gila monster, you can look and see how fat that tail is.
And the high-rise burrows we've designed to house the preserve's collection of Gila monsters give guests the unique opportunity to observe everything from their fat tail to their venomous teeth.
So as part of the Springs Preserve animal exhibits, we actually have 3 enclosures that are out in the exhibit area that house Gila monsters. So they're at different levels, which just create different opportunities for guests of all ages. So there are some where the windows are right down at ground level, which is just perfect for little kids to be able to sneak a peek. Higher windows for adults and larger children. And it's pretty much an entire wall. So these 3 different exhibits. And it's a great way to look at different Gila monsters at different vantage points. So coming here to a place like Springs Preserve and getting to see one on display, be a great way for you to see one live in person, also safely behind glass.
Every day, all summer long, our live animal show will be attracting enthusiastic fans from every different direction and for many different reasons. But what they always end up sharing is a greater appreciation for the abilities desert creatures have to persist, pursue, and persevere and become the ultimate survivors. Visit our website at springspreserve.org for more information. The simple but profound mission of the Rogers Foundation is to transform lives through arts and education in Southern Nevada. It's a vision that the Springs Preserve shares and will now benefit from through a foundation grant that will allow us to plant the seeds of knowledge in our new teaching gardens.
Well, we got a real surprise, a real treat. The Rogers Foundation had been looking to gift money to an organization here in Las Vegas.
The Rogers Foundation describes their educational grants as giving the gifts of imagination, assurance, and knowledge that will provide students with greater opportunities for creativity, innovation, and achievement.
The people at Springs Preserve receive the gift of knowledge for their garden that they're going to be doing, which is a teaching garden, which will, it's teaching the kids is great, and they're going to be working with kids in Title I schools, and they're going to be busing them here. But teaching the teachers so that they can build their own school gardens or their home gardens, that's even better.
The Springs Preserve is already in the Ivy League of botanical knowledge because of its extensive gardens and its respect for education.
So this garden will be created to the south of our existing botanic garden, and it will be bumped out from where we have 2 teaching demonstration gardens right now. And this again will show people different materials that can be used to build gardens, different soil types, how to prepare, plan, plant, and maintain a garden, and go through all of those steps, allowing students to actually have gardens from a few schools that they come and maintain regularly. This garden supports the school district's initiative of the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in several different ways, while expanding their minds, showing them how food is grown, and really opening them up to what we can do at the Springs Preserve and what they can do in their own homes and in teaching gardens.
The project will also allow the preserve to promote our belief that gardening is the ultimate example of lifelong learning.
But in addition to the schools that it serves in the Clark County School District, it's open to the public, and so every visitor that comes can come and see and learn, and we'll also have additional classes out there, so it really is reaching a much wider audience.
It's an audience, young and old, that's urgently in need of awareness about how gardens grow and the wealth of knowledge they can produce.
Kids think their food comes from the store, and they don't have any sense of what you can actually eat from out of the ground and how food grows and how you can make it continue to grow. They're just going to be able to have the experience of putting their hands in the dirt and watching something grow.
And we're just hoping that this inspires and ignites a wonderful food revolution. I think that's already going on small scales, but now, here it is at the Preserve. We're very excited.
Teachers and learners are welcome to join us for a 6-week series of classes that will cover everything they need to know to create a garden, and they can receive continuing education credits if they're Clark County School District teachers. Log on to springspreserve.org for more information. Popular culture loves to shock us with ominous tales of zombie apocalypses, Terminator takeovers, and alien invasions. But the awesome technologies you'll experience in our new traveling exhibit, Science Fiction, Science Future, are truer examples of human mind over matter.
The exhibit tries to suppose what certain technologies might be like for us in the future. For example, in the 1950s, a number of folks thought we might have robotic housekeepers fly around in jet cars. So the exhibit takes interviews from people in the 50s, for example, and takes a look at what in fact transpires here today. There's about 22 different interactive exhibits throughout the experience, and visitors will be able to do everything from try and suppose what a teleportation device might look like. But visitors will be able to see themselves on a screen be translocated to another location. One of the other interactives in the exhibit is a robot mannequin head that can read your facial expressions and mimic them right back to you. So visitors have an opportunity to be very, very over the top with their facial expressions, and they can see that translated by a robot. Another one of the exhibit interactives is moving a ball with your mind. Visitors will move a marble ball from one point to another, and it's actually a competition with someone else. And I hear the tip is to be the most relaxed person doing the interactive, and you'll probably win the competition. These and other interactives will create an experience for the visitor where they try and suppose what some of the technology is going to be like, and also have fun in the process.
The remarkable works of Austin Wood Camaro creates using multiple layers of clear cellophane, polarized filters, and the mysteries of light are on display now in our Big Springs Gallery. For more information, visit our website at springspreserve.org. Vegetable stock doesn't play a showy role in any particular dish, but as a supporting player that delivers intense fresh flavors, you can count on all the trimmings of your summer produce to give a tasteful culinary performance.
Howdy folks, my name is Chef Cicely and I'm joining you here today from the Divine Cafe in the Springs Preserve in Las Vegas, Nevada. In cooking, we have to use a lot of water. There's something that we can do that actually adds a lot of nutritional value, a lot of flavor, and also prevents a lot of wasted food, and that's making vegetable stock. So what I have here is a giant bowl of trim. So every time I chop a vegetable to go into a dish, I end up with certain parts that maybe I don't want to serve with the food, but that doesn't mean there's not something I can get out of them. For example, the bottom ends of a celery rind, the peel of an onion, right? I don't want to eat this part, but it's still got a lot of amazing onion aroma and also some flavor to it. I've got a lemon peel that I've juiced. That's still got a lot of amazing flavor on it. I have peels of carrots. What else do I have in my goodie bags here? I've got stems of celery. I've got stems of kale. I have all sorts of goodness. Almost anything that comes off of a fruit or a vegetable I can put in there. There's a few things that I don't want to hold on to put into a vegetable stock. And that would be anything that is starchy. So for example, potatoes. Potatoes are very starchy, and that's going to make it so that my stock doesn't have the same chemical properties and the same texture and consistency of pure water. So nothing starchy goes in there. And unless I really love asparagus or Brussels sprouts or cabbage, anything in that mustard family, that's not going in there either, because purple cabbage, for example, is going to turn all the stock that I make into bright purple. Asparagus is so strong and aromatic because there's that asparagine amino acid in there that we all know the smell of very well. That's what it's named for, but that's going to take over the stock. So anything that is extremely colorful, starchy, or has a really strong flavor, I don't want to put that in there. So those I'm going to leave off to the side. But to make a vegetable stock, it's really simple. I'm going to take all of this trim, I'm going to dump it into a pot. If I want any additional aromatics, let's say bay leaves, I can toss some of those in there, and I can be very generous with it. And I like a little bit of peppercorns, so a couple of those. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to cover it with just enough water to douse through the top. I'll need a little bit more in this one. And then it's going to go onto the stove top for about 45 minutes over medium-high heat. What it's going to do is come to a boil, and as it's coming to a boil, what's happening is the water's extracting all of the nutrients and all the additional flavors associated with those nutrients and pulling them out into the water. I'll let it go for, as I said, about 45 minutes until the vegetables begin to lose all their color and they're also very, very soft. At that point, I'll take the vegetables off and I'll run them through a strainer. So I'm going to strain all of the pulpy vegetables out of my stock at that point. The pulp I can hold and I can use that to go into a compost, into a garden. And the strained stock is now this beautiful colored liquid that I can use to do all sorts of amazing fun things with. Anytime I boil pasta, I'm going to use my vegetable stock with it. If I make a soup, instead of using water, I'm going to use my vegetable stock with it. Instead of using too much vinegar or something else with a pungent flavor, I can use this to thin out a sauce or a salad dressing. I could use it as a base for a salad dressing. It's just a great way to add more flavor to a dish already being made. It's a great way to add more nutrition to a dish already being made. It's a great way to be more cost effective in your kitchen. After all, we buy vegetables by the pound, so let's use all of them. And it's a great way to increase the water quality of water when it's an ingredient. And I can also make my kitchen more sustainable, creating some compost for the garden. So here's to making your kitchen more cost effective and more delicious. My name's Chef Cicely, and I hope to see you here.
There's a lot more to discover, so join us next time here at the Springs Preserve, where food and drink, survival and celebration, knowledge and wisdom are the plentiful resources that mingle to bring new life to Las Vegas.